video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial from my group on how to cut this stylish underbust dress with side gathers. And this dress is from Laios Couture on TikTok. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, here is my pattern and I've gone ahead to mark out all my basic measurements. So I've marked my shoulder to bust, under bust, waistline, 7 inches to get my hip, and I'll be using this pattern paper as the full length of this pattern. So next, I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2 and I'll add half because this dress has a sleeve. From that point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope or shoulder slant. And after that, I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder slope. After I'm done marking that, I'll place my ruler and draw out a straight line. Now I'll mark out a basic neckline of 3 inches and then blend off my shoulder very well. So after I'm done blending this, the next step I'm going to take is to find my chest line, which I have already done, and to find out it's your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5, which I marked out a straight line on that part. So I'll just go ahead and place my ruler and I'll go ahead to mark. After I'm done marking, I'm going to mark what I have on my shoulder, which is my shoulder divided by 2 plus half again. This is to enable me have a straight line on this point. And after that, I'll go ahead to divide the line into 2 and I will mark. At the midpoint, I'll come out by ½ inch, and after marking that, I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Now I'll place my curve drill and I'll start connecting my pattern, starting from the lower part to the upper part of my pattern this way. And after I'm done connecting, I'm going to go ahead to use my marker to outline this. So the next step I will take from here is to mark my dart. And to mark my dart, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. I'm going to mark this all the way going down to the hip point. And after I'm done marking this right, I'll just go ahead to draw out a straight line. The next step I'm going to take is to mark a ½ inch dart intake on both sides of my pattern, and I'll come down. I'll go to the bust and extend my dart, which I forgot to do while I was marking. From this point, I'll come down by 1 inch and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way up and also extend it to the upper part. After I'm done extending this, I'll mark like 4 inches all the way down. And I'll go ahead to extend this dart all the way to the lower part. And after I'm done extending, I'll start by inserting my measurements to the pattern. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake and add my sewing allowance. So I'm going to mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake and replace my sewing allowance. At the hip point, I'm going to mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and I'll add my sewing allowance. So whatever I have on the hip, that is what I'll take down to the lower part of this pattern. I'll go ahead and place my ruler and I'll connect my pattern all the way going to the lower part of my pattern. And after that, I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline. After outlining, I'm going to go ahead to use my marker to connect and I'll cut this out. So after cutting this out, I'm going to go ahead to place the front pattern that I have already cut out on another pattern. But before doing that, I'll go ahead to mark a zipper allowance at the back. So this is the back pattern that I'm cutting right now. After marking this, I'll go ahead to place my tape and mark my shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, and I'll be using the same shoulder to waist for this pattern at the back. Then I'll get 7 inches for my hip point and I'll place my ruler and draw out a straight line. So after I'm done drawing out this line, that is when we'll start marking or working on the back pattern, and you can go ahead to label your pattern. So after this, I'll place this pattern on the front pattern on the back pattern, starting from that zipper point, and I'll go ahead to outline the sides of this pattern. Or you can go ahead to cut it out just the same way that I'm cutting this out. Now after cutting out, take out that front pattern and you want to mark the dart. You're going to start marking your nipple to nipple divided by 2 from the zipper line, and you're going to also extend it to the hip. Now place your ruler and draw out a straight line connecting all those dots. So I'll go ahead and mark ½ inch on both sides of my pattern for the dart intake, and after marking this, I'll come down by 1 inch from the bust, place my ruler, and I'm going to go ahead to connect at both sides of my pattern. Now also extend my darts at the lower part. So this is what I have at the back pattern. Now you also want to take out the bulginess at the back by coming in by ½ inch here, and you're going to go ahead to extend this all the way to the upper part of this pattern, and after that you want to outline and take out that part. You can also go ahead and replace that side at the side of your pattern, that is that excess you took out at the zipper, if you don't want your sewing allowance to reduce. And I'll also mark out the neckline of 3 inches by 1.5. You can also use 3 by 2 inches, and I'll go ahead to cut these parts out and also cut out the zipper bulge area of this dress. Now we'll be working on the front part. I'll mark 3 inches and at the neckline come up by 1 inch or 1.5 here, and I'll go ahead to draw out my neckline. After I'm done marking, I'll curve it going down to the under bust and take it down straight. So I'll draw out the neckline. So for this pattern, you have like a little slash and spread at the under bust of your dress. And now from this part, I'll just come up by ½ inch and I'll extend this going down, and I'll come in by 2 inches at this point and go ahead to connect all the way down to this part of my pattern. Now after I'm done drawing this, for this part of this dress you need to use a slash and spread, and when you're doing this part of this slash and spread, you need to use enough fabric. So you can divide this more than I have here. I'm just drafting this and I'm not using the pattern. So if you're working on your own, you can divide yours into 4 to 5 pieces so that you can slash and spread it to get this full flay effect we have here. So I'll just mark this part to indicate that we have a slash and spread here. So this is how your pattern will be looking like, and I'll go ahead to cut this out. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, and also you can go ahead to blend in your dart or sew it out, so any method that works for you. So I'll leave this side and I'll use it to cut the side of my back pattern because I want to have exactly the same thing at the front and at the back. I'll also go ahead to connect this, and I'll go ahead to divide this also just like we did at the front. So now you'll be slashing and spreading this pattern, and when you're joining it, you're going to place it together on your fabric. Like for the side, you should at least use up to 2 to 3 yards of fabric by the side to get that full effect we have on this pattern. So I'll go ahead and cut this out, and I'll be showing you how to place this pattern on your fabric. So next, another thing is, if you don't know how to join this dress, I have several similar tutorials on my other channel, which is Maki's Closet, on how to draft or sew a dress with side gathers. So you want to slash out all the patterns that you have. So to place this on a fabric, you see this back pattern, I'll take the part going towards the side and I'll turn it this way. So the two sides of the pattern is supposed to meet, and you're going to cut it as one piece. So the more opening or spreading you have on your dress, the more gathers or flay you have. So for the gathers or flay part, you should use a minimum of 2 yards on this side.